This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
And welcome to the program. I'm Roby Brock. We're glad to have you with us. At the beginning of 2020, no business executives in the U.S. were focused on COVID-19 and its impact on the American business landscape. By the start of 2021, it's been a nearly year-long challenge. I sat down with three business executives for our annual State of the State Business Roundtable to learn about the challenges they faced. Let's hear from AT&T Arkansas President and Arkansas State Chamber Chairman Ronnie Dedman, First Security Bank Senior Vice President Adam Rutledge, and Mollie Munro, Executive Vice President at shoe manufacturer Munro Company based in Hot Springs. Ronnie, I'm going to come to you first. As head of AT&T in Arkansas, you see a lot from your vantage point. And as the chairman of the Arkansas State Chamber of Commerce this year, you should have some perspective. Assess 2020 for me from a business perspective. It was a trying time for a lot of businesses. It was a boom time for some other businesses. What was it for yours?
From AT&T's perspective, I would say that it was, of course, an interesting year, and a year that was filled with a lot of challenges. For us, we had made significant investments here in Arkansas, our network, and across the country. We spent about $650 million upgrading our wireline and our wireless network. And I think last year in 2020 that it actually paid off. Last year, if you look at the way things sort of rolled out, people started, of course, working from home and virtually folks were being educated for virtually as well. So we saw significant increases, about 25% increases in our wireless traffic on our network, and then other increases in our network. So as I said, I think our investment really paid off. And also from our perspective, last year, we were able to launch our next generation wireless service, our 5G service, in many markets here in Arkansas. And of course, with the 5G service comes increased speeds that allows people to do things or have more enhancements with their service, and allows them to become more flexible. Now, from a chamber perspective, I can speak to that as well. Last year, I had the opportunity in 2020 to serve as the Little Rock chairman of the board, and of course, that was a privilege. And no one saw this pandemic coming, but chamber and the chamber staff were able to pivot, so to speak, and became very innovative in their approach to their business, and became a valuable resource for businesses here in Central Arkansas. I will tell you that in spite of the pandemic, and with some pretty significant partnerships between the chamber, the governor, county judge, and the mayor, we were in Central Arkansas able to surpass some 3-year goals that we had established for job announcement and capital investment in 1 year. Last year, we announced about 2,300 jobs here in Central Arkansas, and about a $250 million capital investment. And all those things were, I think, pretty significant.
Yeah, let me pick up a thread with you here on that right there, because a lot of those were Amazon jobs in terms of the investment there, which we saw so much happening with delivery and whatnot.
Right.
Before we circle back and talk about the state more, I want to bounce up to Adam and just say, give me your perspective, Adam, on how it was for First Security Bank in that Northwest Arkansas region that you see over, and then also just statewide. What did the bank see?
Yeah, it was 2020 was definitely a different year. Ronnie used the word interesting, and I'm going to start by just saying different. First of all, we closed our lobbies early on, and they're still closed today. We really enjoy, as a community bank, being face to face with our customers. So it's made for a different way of going about servicing our customer. Fortunately, we have a great staff that's pivoted, and we really have been surprised how little disruption with our lobbies closed, that we've still been able to take care of our customers and our customers' financial needs. That being said, as it relates to just bank and performance, with the stimulus and the PPP and, our governor, doing his best to keep our economy open here locally and in the state with some limitations, for the most part, our customers have fared fairly well. And when our customers succeed, generally, we get to see and enjoy that success there along with them. However, there's definitely some industries and sectors that, are obvious struggles due to the pandemic, with hospitality, restaurant, bar. There's definitely some supply chain issues that are affecting businesses' inventories. And, so there's definitely some sectors in there that have had some struggles, and we've just tried to come alongside them and, help them where we can. But 2020 has been a different year, but all in all, I would say we ended 20 not as bad as we thought it might look when the pandemic first hit in the first quarter.
Not as bad as you thought it was going to be, maybe not as good as you hoped it would be. It sounds like a country music song in the making right there.
That's right.
Mollie, I obviously wanted you to be a part of this panel because from the manufacturing sector, you've obviously dealt with a lot in 2020, but you were already dealing with a lot before 2020. I want you to talk about Monroe Shoe Company and what challenges you all were facing coming into 2020, and then how 2020 changed that dynamic for you.
Well, the tariffs, of course, were something we'd been dealing with for quite a few years. While we do have manufacturing here in Arkansas and have for 60 years, the shoe industry pretty much is gutted. It moved overseas a long, long time ago. Therefore, all of our suppliers are overseas. So you can't get leather, you can't get outsoles, you can't get insoles. You have to source overseas. Our world is completely global and has been for a very long time. So the tariffs were a serious, serious blow, and something that anybody in the apparel, shoe, jewelry industries, we fought long and hard. Roby, you were wonderful. You tried very much to help. And so we already had a lot of challenges. Everybody was second guessing their supply chains, looking for alternatives, but every time you'd think you had found an alternative to avoid a tariff on this country, they'd bounce to another. And a perfect example is going to be tariffs, of course, were on China. Well, just recently, they have been talking about 30% tariffs against Vietnam. When the tariffs started on China, everybody scrambled over to Vietnam, which, by the way, is 100th of the manufacturing capacity that China is. So everybody couldn't go racing over there. The lucky few that could, or that already had a footprint there. So you move all of your supply chains there, and now you're going to take a 30% cut. So it's our 30% hit. So it's just one after another after another. 2020 was a bad year for apparel and shoes. Everybody suffered just about across the board, and it's just anywhere from 35 to 45% of sales. So
let me ask you just a little more detail on that, because when I look at some of the retail sales data that's out there in the larger macro economy, I see that the consumer propped up this economy. They spent money. The stimulus checks that Adam referenced were there. Ronnie referencing that people were doing things virtually, whether it was school or work from home. They were still spending money because they did have some money in their pocket. I'm assuming that just didn't translate to your specific portion in the industry, but is that a good read for me that people didn't buy as much on apparel and shoes? They maybe spent more on food or something else that was important to them.
Yeah, I would definitely say that. Obviously, a lot of money went towards electronics. You got to stream all those movies, buy all those books on your phone. So anyway, in apparel and shoes, they're fashion industries. Fashion is driven by entertainment. We are not, by the way, a fashion brand, but everything rolls down from there. And of course, the entertainment industry was completely shut down. So it's just that those little dominoes just start falling and keep falling. Also, now, if you happen to make loungewear if you happen to make slippers and comfort wear and things like that, you probably fared very well. But we are in a middle market, or upper middle market for professional footwear. So our shoes are for women that are working, and a lot of women didn't have to go to work. So why would you spend $150 to $200 on a good pair of shoes when you don't have to, when you can stay in your slippers all day at your house?
Right. Well, I'm going to throw an idea out here for you. Smartphone, a smart watch in your shoe or something like it. Technology, Internet of Things, right, Ronnie?
That's right.
Tell me, Ronnie, you mentioned that just the load on the network there. How much more pressure was put on your networks versus what you would have anticipated and budgeted for in the normal course of business? Because we've seen, and I'm not making this up, 5,000% increases on some of the wireless networks across this country. So how much did you have to go beyond what you were planning on doing heading into 2020 versus what 2020 forced you to do?
Well, just once again, we had sort of prepared for last year, I guess unknowingly, with just natural monies that we spend on our network, and we had made those significant investments previously. So it really didn't hit us as hard. When you think about it, we were up in voice traffic on wireline traffic and wireless traffic about 25% overall. So and our network was able to handle that because we had made the investment. We made the investments the previous years, and then also in 2020 we continued those investments.
Adam, let me come to you and ask a question about. I know PPPs were a big instrument for you all to help your customers, the businesses that you work with on a day in, day out basis. I saw that so much across the board in so many different industries. There is talk that there may be more stimulus coming, whether that's another round of PPP or, again, just even maybe some more checks that are coming for consumers in the economy. When you think about all that and what you went through in 2020, what do you hope is different in 2021 from a stimulus perspective, whether it's just consumer stimulus or whether it's another PPP fashioned program?
Yeah, well, the consumer stimulus is very much automated. So, it's a little bit of back office, but not much from a infrastructure on, our banking environment. But the PPP was, very stressful in implementing in 2020. And, the rules were changing daily as funds were going live. And we were truly concerned about funds being available for our customers. And our customers were concerned about funds being available for them. So we were very much under the gun in 2020. So I would foresee that a second round of PPP in 2021, having different rules and regulations, but the fact that we had 2020 PPP behind us and the experience of handling that and handling it under the gun, I would foresee that 2021, this next round of PPP, looking different. And fortunately, we've had a little experience with it in 2020.
Yeah. Mollie, so I'm going to come to all of you on this one, but Mollie, start us off with this. When you look at 2021, you're going to be looking at some fundamentals in the economy and where things kind of sit as we start 2021. What are you watching most closely? What gives you pause for concern or pause for optimism?
Optimistically are just Americans in general. Americans, we are a consumer society, and we're also a very social society, though I suppose you could say that about everyone. So when things begin to die down, the vaccine and just the natural course of the pandemic, people are going to want to return to their normal lives. And so I feel like that, for our industry, certainly it will come back. It takes about 12 to 15 months to modify fashion. So we work way ahead of when our product actually is going to hit the store. So the pandemic hit us, of course, in January through March, and we already had fall product put to bed, which means that you can't change your outsoles or your uppers or things like that because you've already designed them. You've already got orders out to all your suppliers who are mostly overseas. So we couldn't do anything about fall, and that was true for all of our industry. So that's why we couldn't react quickly. We were able to react better for spring. We've made some changes. We'll be able to make even more changes for fall. So that gives me great optimism, is that just enough time is going to pass for our industry for us to catch up to what's going on. Of course, the ultimate downside is that something triggers an overall, hiccup in our economy. It hasn't shown that in the last 10, 12 years. But just economies being cyclical, it won't take much if this pandemic rears its ugly head, mutates, something like that. So really, that's where I see a big problem potentially that would upset our world.
All right, Ronnie, how about you? What are you looking at in terms of fundamentals that give you encouragement about how good 2021 could be, or where you see some concerns right now and think 2021, we're not out of the woods yet?
Well, as I think about 2021, I'll use the word sort of excited because it puts 2020 behind us. 2021, of course, we'll start out with the legislative session here in the state, and that's always interesting. For us, we'll continue to make major investments in both our wireless and our wireline network. And this is a word you hadn't mentioned yet, but with that will come, of course, more broadband. And for us also, employee and customer safety will be top of mind for us. And I hadn't had a chance yet to mention our FirstNet network is this world-class network that we're building for first responders, that when there are disasters and emergency, it gives them priority and preemption on our network. So we're going to keep there building and updating towers so that we can, in fact, build that world-class network for first responders. As I think about 2021, this is not something that's, I guess, just related to our industry, but it's on our radar screen. And that has to do with social justice type issues. And I'll just mention that AT&T is one of 100 businesses that are in support of hate crime legislation here in the state of Arkansas. That has so many positive things that it can do for our state. It impacts economic development, so we're going to have to push forward for that as well. And by the way, as it relates to hate crime legislation, Arkansas is one of 3 states without that type of legislation. So I guess from a state chamber perspective, will be encouraging the passage of that.
Yeah, you can have your hands full with a legislative session that's working in a COVID-19 pandemic environment there. I'm actually building a new studio so that we can produce a daily show on the legislature so that I don't have to go up there on a regular basis. So
if I could come to your studio and maybe be safe and kind of watch what's going on out there.
And I'm sure thanks to AT&T that there's internet all through that Capitol that's pretty honking. So I'm expecting a lot of live stream. Adam, let's come to you. What are you looking at in terms of fundamentals, whether they're economic indicators or just things that you're looking at internally that give you some hope for 2021, or again, some concern for 2021?
Well, as you know, Roby, I mean, we're in unprecedented times with COVID, and hope is truly for us, is in the vaccine. I mean, I think the vaccine and the success or potential success of the vaccine is going to determine a lot of what 2021 looks like for a lot of industries. And we feel like, it can If it's not real successful, it could be a repeat of 2020, or it could potentially, slowly pull us out of COVID and get us to more of our new normal. So that being said, I think the vaccine is something that we're going to pay close attention to. But all in all, the economy, we feel like due to stimulus and PPP through 2020 is somewhat propped up for 2021. So we'll see how that plays out as well. But I do think that as it relates to the vaccine, there is opportunity for better distribution, and really hope to see those improvements here in the weeks to come.
You're up there in Northwest Arkansas with all those logistics folks up there. I'm counting on you to get them mobilized and get those vaccines out to everybody across the country.
That's right.
Adam, I'm counting on you for that. So,
somebody told me just yesterday that they should just do vaccines in Chick-fil-A drive-thrus.
I think that's probably a good place for us to wrap up this conversation, because now everybody can go eat a late lunch if you want to. Adam, Ronnie, Mollie, thank you so much for your participation in our roundtable. Great insight, great conversation. About midway through the year, I'm going to come back and may ask you guys again if things are looking different somewhere around June or July versus where we're all thinking things are here in January. So be taking notes between now and then. All right. Thank you all much. Very much appreciated.
Thank you, Robbie.
Thanks, Robbie. Thanks, you guys.